I've put a photo of my finished artwork in the corner of the screen so that you can see what the end result will look like, especially because the layering process of this piece has quite a lot of ugly stages. The paper that I'm using for this coloured pencil beach scene is the Clairefontaine Pastel Matte, and I'm using a few different brands of coloured pencils because they have slightly different colours in each set. So you don't have to use the exact same brands though. Whatever you have, whether that's Polychromos, Prismacolor, Luminance, or any other good quality pencil brand, you can still do this project with the same techniques. Just keep in mind that if you're using a more oil-based pencil, you may need a few extra layers to get the similar level of saturation compared to some of the wax-based pencils that I'm using. So I'm blocking in the base layer starting with the sky. Because this piece has a lot of clouds, I'm not being too precise about where I'm placing the colour at this stage. I'm going to build up several different blues and I'm doing each one in a different direction so that one layer goes horizontal and then the next goes diagonal and so on. The reason for this is that when you go in with your solvent to blend, you're going to get a smoother result if the pencil strokes underneath are all going in different directions. So I'm keeping my pressure really light throughout this whole process, and I'm holding the pencil a little bit more towards the back rather than close to the tip because it gives you a little bit better control over how lightly you're applying the pencil, so you don't end up pressing really hard and making harsh pencil marks. I'm using a few different blues across the sky, so the top of the sky is a little bit darker, and as we move towards the horizon it gets a little bit lighter and a little bit warmer in colour as well. So I'm adding a very subtle purple tone towards the bottom of the sky because I can see a hint of that in the reference photo. Adding little things like that variation in colour will make it look a little bit more interesting and make it feel less flat. Moving on to the ocean, when you're laying in the colour for the water, you do really want to keep your pencil strokes more horizontal because that direction is going to help suggest the movement and the ripples of the water, whereas like in the sky you do want it to look a little bit smoother. In the water, having those pencil strokes there is going to help create the right texture. So I'm using slightly different blues for the sea in comparison to the sky, leaning more towards the greeny blues here to differentiate the two. The ocean is a little bit darker towards the horizon line, which is really common in seascape reference photos, so noticing things like that will help make your drawing look more realistic. Also, I wanted to quickly mention that if this tutorial feels a little bit too fast, there is a real-time version of this tutorial inside the Academy that's just under 2 hours long, where I walk you through every single step of the process, including which colours to use. It also comes with a supply list and downloadable reference photos to make things a little bit easier, so I'll leave a link in the description if that interests you as well. For the bushes and grasses, I'm working with a range of different greens from yellowy greens through to really dark olive and almost near black greens. And again, just blocking in the general shapes and where the lights and shadows fall. I'm not worrying too much about adding any details at this stage. I'm also using a reddish brown for some of the bushes because in the reference you can see a lot of that warm earthy tone throughout some of the bushes, especially in the scrubby plants on the right hand side. For the sand, I'm adding a few different warm tones, just layering them in opposite directions to each other, kind of like what we did with the sky, so that it will look a little bit smoother when we start to blend everything out. I'm using a muted purple in the shadows, and I'm blocking in the general shapes of where those footprints are as well, but not stressing about getting them too perfect at this stage of the process. At this point, everything looks pretty scribbled and messy and kind of crayon-like, and that's completely fine. It's going to start looking smoother and more saturated and more vibrant once we start blending everything out. Okay, so I've got my solvent out and I put some in a little jar to make it a bit easier for me, and I'm dipping my brush in and then dabbing off quite a lot of the excess solvent on my cloth before I go anywhere near my artwork. So I'm starting with the lighter areas like the clouds first, and then I'm working my way into the darker parts of the sky. If you start with the darker areas, you may end up dragging that color into the lighter sections, which can look a little bit messy, and you end up darkening your light values. So in the sky, I'm working in small circular or oval motions, kind of overlapping them over each other because that is going to help create a really smooth result. If you use your brush in a way that's going to create sort of harsh vertical or horizontal lines, you may see that in the end result. So by creating these overlapping circles, you're not going to be able to see those strokes and it will end up looking a lot smoother that way. For the water, I'm purposely switching to the horizontal strokes because again, you can use those brush strokes that do show through because they're going to add that texture in those ripples and waves. And you'll notice that while the solvent is wet, your artwork will look a little bit more saturated and smoother. And then when it dries, it's going to look a little bit more textured and grainy again and less saturated. And that's completely normal because we're going to be adding more layers on top and create more smoothness and more texture and more depth as we build up those layers. Once I've gone over everything, I clean my brush off by dipping it in the solvent and then just wiping it several times until no more pigment comes off. And then I let the whole piece dry, and it's sometimes a little bit hard to tell if it's dry or not, especially with this pastel matte paper because of its unique texture. But I usually wait for around 30 minutes or so just to be safe because you don't want to go back in with your pencils while the paper is still wet because you can end up damaging the surface that way. Now that everything's dry, I'm going to add another full layer of coloured pencil over the whole piece, but this time we're being a little bit more deliberate about the placement. In the sky, I'm starting to redefine the shapes of the clouds and the sky by using a blue colour to block in basically the negative space around the clouds. In this piece, there are a lot of patchy clouds with parts of the sky showing through, so it's not going to look like a perfect fluffy cloud shape. So I'm just thinking about where I want the sky to show through between those patchy clouds. Also keep in mind that the clouds that are closer to the horizon are going to look smaller and less defined because they're further away, and the ones that are higher up can be a little bit bigger and more structured because they're closer to you. When I'm blocking in the white clouds, I am using a Derwent Drawing Chinese white coloured pencil because this is the most opaque white coloured pencil that I've found so far. One thing I mention a lot in my tutorials, and I'm going to mention it again here because it's kind of important, your colour choices really aren't as important as your values. So your values are basically how light or dark something is in relation to everything else in the scene. I could have chosen a number of different blues or greens for this piece and it would still look like a sky or plants as long as the light areas are light enough and the dark areas are dark enough. If you're ever unsure whether your values are accurate, you can take a photo of your artwork, turn it into black and white, and then compare it to a black and white version of your reference photo. This is going to remove color entirely and makes it really easy to see if your darks are dark enough and your lights are light enough in comparison to the dark and light areas of your reference photo. Most people find that their shadows aren't dark enough, and adjusting those can make a huge difference to how realistic and three-dimensional everything looks. So I'm going to continue building up the sand and defining the footprints a bit more now, making sure that they vary in size and shape. You don't want them all to look the same or it's going to look unnatural. The ones that are closer to you in the foreground are going to be larger and have more contrast. And as they move towards the waterline, they get a little bit smaller and lighter and less defined. So this is also going to help create that depth and distance in this piece as well. I'm going to blend with some solvent again, but this time I'll use even less solvent and dab off most of the excess from my brush so it almost feels dry before I go into my artwork with the brush. I'm not trying to blend out all of the texture and detail that we added, but I do want to soften everything out so that it looks less grainy. And again, I'm going to let the whole thing dry for a while and then add another layer of coloured pencil to build up those textures even more. I added the shadow colours to the bushes and the grasses first because they're the deepest layer, which is furthest back, and then I'm adding these lighter details over the top of that to create that depth. And this kind of thing is much easier to do when you're working on a paper like Clairefontaine pastel mat with the solvent to blend. It's a little bit easier to add light colours on top of dark colours in comparison to using other papers and other kinds of blending methods. So here I'm going to add some highlights to the footprints, which are mainly on the left-hand side of each shadow, following that light direction in the reference photo. Not every single footprint needs to have the same amount of highlight. Some can be a bit more subtle, and that variation is going to help feel it more natural as well. So I'm continuing to add more texture and details to the bushes and grasses, adding strokes that follow the direction of the growth. And some of my pencil strokes are going to be a little bit longer or shorter than others, and some curving slightly differently because you don't want to create a really obvious pattern that makes it look a bit unnatural. You want your strokes to look a bit more random and less uniform because that's going to make it look more realistic. Depending on how much detail you want to add, you can blend out this layer with a very small amount of solvent again and then continue layering more colored pencil on top. But for me personally, I like that it looks kind of realistic from a normal viewing distance, and then when you get close you can see more of the pencil strokes and patches of color. So I don't usually spend hours and hours adding tiny details because it's really not necessary to make something look realistic. But again, if your personal preference is to spend a lot of time adding those details, you can get quite a few layers of colored pencil on this paper, especially if you're blending with the solvent in between, so you can go ahead and keep layering as much as you like to get the result that you're aiming for.